Now, maybe it's just me, but I think when you're speaking on national media about a team that's playing in a game, I think you should know what you're talking about and have your facts right. Unfortunately, a TNT analyst who was speaking about Jalen Brunson didn't have her facts straight and made a decision based on false information. We're going to break down exactly what she stated and why Knick fans destroyed her for it. All of this and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now and make sure to have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Knick fans destroy Candace Parker over her Jalen Brunson comments. And the thing is, it wasn't so much her comments, it was the inaccuracy of her comments. The fact that what she was saying was false. Before I go into my take and my opinion on it, let me show you exactly what she stated. Roll the clip.
When the game slows down in the playoffs and you get jammed up, we've seen Jalen Brunson in the playoffs with the Mavs, and he was number 2, number 3, came in, played minutes, supplemented Luka handling the ball. But as a number 1 option last year in the playoffs, great first round, second round, not so much. So I'm in agreement with her.
If you didn't watch that series or watch that game, it's fine. You don't have to talk about it. But when you're on national television and you're making a decision based on who you want to put in the All-Star game because what they've done either in the playoffs, the regular season, and that entire thing, when you're making a decision based off of that, and then you make a statement basically stating that Jalen Brunson had a great first round but didn't have a great second round series against the Heat last year, you're basically talking about something that is not true. It's inaccurate. Look at this, folks. She stated that last year in the playoffs, he had a great first round, second round, not so much. Let me remind you guys, shout out to Knicks Muse on the app X for giving us the following information. Jalen Brunson averaged 31 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.5 rebounds on 50% shooting in the second round series versus the Miami Heat. And that's not all. In the elimination game, an elimination game against the Miami Heat, Game 6, Jalen Brunson dropped 41 points in that game, an away game, and he tried his best to win that game for the New York Knicks so they could take it all the way back to MSG. And who knows what would have happened if Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks were able to win that game and take it over to MSG for Game 7. Because I think the New York Knicks would have had a really good shot to win that game and go to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how good Jalen Brunson has been. But when you hear people like Candace Parker go on TNT, a nationally broadcasted network that shows these games everywhere, nationally, to all cities worldwide, and everybody around the world, whether they're Knick fans or not, are hearing exactly what you're stating. It is important to your job, your credibility, and what you're talking about to make sure you have your facts right and to know what you're talking about. When you're saying, okay, I voted for Donovan Mitchell because the Cavs have a little bit better of a winning record, and also Donovan Mitchell is doing it without less people on his team. You could have stopped your take right there in regards to why you voted for Donovan Mitchell over Jalen Brunson. It doesn't make sense to me, but it made sense for you enough to make that decision. But when you kept going and kept giving more reasons on why you made that decision, you stepped up. You made a misstep and you said that Jalen Brunson had an okay first round and a not so good second round. And see, that's just not true. Jalen Brunson was phenomenal in the first round and even better in the second round for the New York Knicks. And if the Knicks had another scorer right behind Jalen Brunson, who we could count on, who was consistent right along with Jalen, the Knicks would have won that series against the Heat, and the Knicks would have went on to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I think the Knicks, with the roster and the play they're getting from Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle this year, I think they have a case with the roster as presently constructed to go all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals this season. That's how good Jalen and Julius has been, but also that's how good they've looked after the OG Anunoby trade. Put some respect on Jalen Brunson's name, recognize his game, recognize what he's doing in this league, and understand, whether you want to believe it or not, and you can go down the list of the top 20 players in the NBA, he is cracking past that top 20. But going back to the Candace Parker situation, again, when it rains and pours, because after she made those comments, Knicks Twitter or the X app community, whatever you want to call them, they went off against her, stating the fact that she didn't know what she was talking about. She didn't know ball. Can't believe she's a champion for the WNBA and so many different things. And because of the hate and the amount of comments that she was getting, she could not help it any longer, and she made a number of comments to the Knicks community about Jalen Brunson, and she tried to help clarify what she meant. And this is what she stated here. Shout out to New York Basketball on the app X for giving us the following information in its totality. Candace Parker, in her response to Knick fans as they got upset with her for inaccurate remarks about Jalen Brunson and what he did in the second round last season. Listen, y'all. I'm a Bears fan. I get it, Knicks. Every time someone says something, you take it personally. My comments yesterday have nothing to do with what I think about Brunson as a player. I think he's a effing monster. I love Villanova guards and Jay Wright. Having a hell of a year. All-star. The question was not can you win with a small player as your best player. It's can you win a championship with a small player as your best player. Everyone throwing me and tweeting me stats, you are missing the point. AI was my absolute favorite player. Despite averaging 35.6 points a game in the finals, they lost to the Lakers. CP3, despite the numbers, lost. No one since Isaiah Thomas has won as the best player on their team and also being the smallest. Steph sort of counts, but he's an anomaly. It's the same questions people had about free throws and can you win when your best player Giannis can't hit them. It happened and people had to eat their words on his 50-point triple-double. All I'm saying is, I hope Brunson makes me eat my words. Sincerely, a sympathizing Bears fan. What? What did you even say? What was that response to? Because the only thing that I had an issue with, the thing that most Knick fans had an issue with, was your inaccurate remarks. Let's pull it up again. She stated last year in the playoffs, Jalen Brunson had a great first round, and the second round, not so much. And again, Jalen Brunson averaged during the second round series against the Miami Heat, 31 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.5 rebounds on 50% shooting. So I'm trying to understand, what comments are you clarifying? The reason Knick fans are tweeting you stats is because it's clear you didn't watch the series. Because if you watched the series, you would not have made those comments. You would not made those statements. Because you made the inaccurate comments, that's why myself and other Knick fans tweeted you, got at you on social media, and made the comments that we made. It's not because we're stating that what you're saying about Jalen Brunson being too small, maybe not being your best player on a championship team. We're not stating any of those things are inaccurate. We can make the argument about those things. It's okay to have those arguments. That leads to healthy debates. You know what doesn't? It doesn't lead to healthy debates when you use inaccurate comments and statements to make a decision about who should be an all-star. The reason that myself and other Knick fans were tweeting at you was not about your comments about Jalen Brunson, him being too small, him being undersized, or anything like that. Honestly, we can have that debate. I think Jalen Brunson is playing well enough where that conversation is open for debate right now. And when we get to the playoffs, that conversation is going to get louder and louder and louder based on Jalen Brunson's performance. But let's not get to that. Let's get to why the Knicks Twitterverse and everybody on social media was getting at you. It was because of what you said about Jalen Brunson and the fact that he didn't show up in the second round against the Heat. And that's just not true. We showed you the numbers. We already went over the stats. It's clear Jalen Brunson had an even better second round series than his first round series last year. So for you to say what you said on national TV, and then you double down on what you said and not even clarify your statements, it's exactly why myself and other fans are going to continue to get at you until you clarify your comments. It's not about what you said about Jalen Brunson, him being undersized, and potentially him not being able to be the best player on your team if you're looking to get a championship. It's not about any of that at this point in time. What it is about is you stating something incorrectly about the New York Knicks' best player in Jalen Brunson. When you make a comment like that on a nationally broadcasted show, everybody, including myself, is going to have a problem with that. We probably would have had a problem with it anyways, no matter what platform you did it on. But the fact that you did it on TNT, that made it worse, and that made all fans go against you even further. And again, it's not going against you. The fact that you're a woman, the fact that you have certain accolades in the WNBA, it's not to say anything about that. And we're not taking away from all of the things you did on those stages, by the way. What we are doing is making sure the facts are straight, the information is clear, and everybody, including you, knows for a fact that Jalen Brunson is him. Jalen Brunson is special. And Jalen Brunson absolutely showed up in the second round last year against the Heat. If you're going to speak about the Knicks, if you're going to speak about Jalen Brunson, at least have your facts straight and have your facts right. TNT, you have so many people working alongside you. You're telling me nobody could sit with Candace Parker for a few minutes, chat with her, and make sure everything she was about to say about the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson was factually true? Because in my opinion, that's all you had to do to avoid this situation from happening. But because you didn't do that, now you have a mess on your hands. And now you've angered Knick fans. So anytime they're covering New York Knick games and Candace Parker's on the call, every single Knick fan is going to get at her, remind her, and tweet at her. And each and every game Jalen Brunson shows up, shows out, and does what he needs to do, best believe fans are going to remember these comments just like they remember Becky Hammond's comments and just like they remember other people's comments, Kenny Smith, for instance, and they're going to tweet at them, and make sure they know that the players that they talked about, that they had a lot of things to say about, they have nothing to say about now because they're performing so well, you can't do anything but praise them. I think Jalen Brunson is probably the best player I've seen play for the Knicks, probably going back all the way till Carmelo Anthony. That's how good, how great, and how impactful he's been for this Knicks team. And each and every time he takes the floor, you want to watch him and you want to see what he can do. So Candace Parker, every single person is going to now add you to the list of players that had something to say about Jalen Brunson. Whether it be true or not true, you're now on that list. And anytime he does something phenomenal, you will be part of the people that is added and say, what you got to say now? What do you got to talk about now? Do you have anything to talk about or say about him now? Because I'm pretty sure when that point in time comes, you're going to be extremely quiet. Like you said, you want Jalen Brunson to make you eat your words. I think Jalen Brunson and this Knicks team will absolutely do that come the playoffs. But what about you guys? What do you think about Candace Parker's incorrect comments about Jalen Brunson? And were you as upset as most Knicks fans were? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.